Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And do you have an Xbox Series X or S? Well, you better get around to getting one because the Xbox One is no longer going to be making games for it. They're going to support it somewhat, but new games, not coming out for it. So basically, there was an interview with Matt Booty, and he basically said, we moved on to Gen 9. So basically that's Generation 9, and that's referring to the Xbox Series X and S. Booty confirms that outside of support for older ongoing titles like Minecraft, first-party development on Xbox One is done. Instead, Microsoft plans to maintain support for older platform purely through cloud gaming options, which do allow you to play Series X games on an Xbox One through the cloud. Prior to this, almost every first party, Xbox Series X game has also launched on Xbox One. Halo Infinite was there, Forza Horizon, Grounded, Minecraft, pretty much everything that has been coming out has also had an Xbox One version of it, at least first party, right? And so, that was Microsoft's commitment to, it wasn't for indefinitely. They did say for, a considerate timeline they were going to support the Xbox One, but now they pretty much moved on. The Xbox conference, which was not too long ago, I think everything that they showed off there, if I remember correctly, said Xbox Series and S. I don't know, there might have been one or two in there sprinkled in from third parties that did say Xbox One, but everything that was first party pretty much, I'm pretty sure, was all X and S stuff. It was all next gen stuff, which makes sense because a lot of the games they showed off were coming out next year, right, in 2024. Besides Starfield and Forza Horizon, or not Horizon, but Forza Motorsport. So it has been slowly coming along. I think COVID, kind of, Pat was saying this earlier, we were talking before this, COVID kind of extended those lifelines. Even with PlayStation 5, we're starting to see that transition for PlayStation 5 as well, whereas PlayStation 4 support. I don't think Sony's really come out and said we're no longer supporting PlayStation 4, but a lot of the games you're seeing coming in the future for PlayStation seem to be 5 only, right? So it's time, everybody out there, it's time to upgrade your console if you haven't already. The consoles were hard to find, but now you can pretty much go anywhere and find a PlayStation or an Xbox. So, you don't have any excuses except for money. That's the only thing that's hard. But finding one's not an excuse. It's just paying for it. That's the excuse you can have. But, if you're wanting to play the next gen titles and things like that, then you're going to need to pony up and get something new. They are coming out with the new Xbox Series S, the black version of it, the black S version. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. So, if you didn't want to get the X and you want to go something a little cheaper, I think it was $350 for that. You could go that route for the Xbox Series S, the black edition of it. It has a bigger hard drive in it, so that's cool. But, we'll go around and see what everybody thinks of this. For me, I'm just going to give my take real quick, and I say it's about damn time. But we're going to go on and see what everybody else thinks. Pat, what about you, buddy? What do you think?
I would agree. It's about damn time. I feel sorry for the people who haven't gotten one yet, but you at least have an option with cloud gaming if that's your thing. It's not my thing. I'd be like running out to the store to get me an Xbox Series X immediately if this was me. But unfortunately, we're never going to get to see games live up to the true potential of the Series X because little brother is going to drag it down. The Series S will always drag down because Microsoft's got to put out a game for both. I think Microsoft royally screwed up with making the Series S. I think it did. Sony did it the right way. The PS5 disc and discless version are the exact same thing, just without a disc. Microsoft should have did the same thing, but now developers are going to be hindered by this underpowered console, which means that unless they're going to develop 2 different games, which nobody does, you're not going to get this you're not going to get a game that is going to run the max gambit of the Series X. It's just not going to happen because the Series S is always going to drag it down. So we're going to get a little bit of a bump because the Series S, is better than the Xbox One, but it's going to always drag down the Xbox Series X. So what are we gaining here, people? We're gaining a little bit of architecture bump, but little brother is going to drag this one down, and Microsoft has nobody to blame but themselves for their, for this. A lot of times, I mean, I'll be honest with you. We Nick just kind of talked a little bit about the game shows and all that stuff that just came out, and a flagship game like Starfield is going to be a 30 FPS locked game. What the hell? Probably just so you can play on the S. I mean, who knows? I don't know what all the details are yet, but the Xbox, it is time. It's been 3 years. This in less than 5 months, it will have been 3 years since the Series X and S released, and we're still getting games. But I think anything new development is not going to come out on the ones, the Xbox Ones. And I really hate Microsoft's naming schema, but that's neither here nor there. But the Series S is going to keep dragging down the Series X. And Microsoft has no option but to support it because it's still being sold as a brand new console. You can't make about face with something you're still selling and say, well, we're no longer going to support this. And if there's a mid-gen bump and they come out with like an Xbox Series X Pro or whatever they're going to call it, Xbox Series X1, to make it even worse, they're not going to make games just for that console, and I doubt you're going to get a performance bump where it's going to run at 60 FPS and all this stuff with games. Because the real crappy thing is that eventually they get there, but I'm long freaking gone by then. I'm playing something else. I played the game, I beat it, and I've moved on. I don't have time to wait for you guys to fix your screw ups. It's, in that you put out a game too early and it can't reach 60 FPS, but you promise to fix it and you do it within 6 months. Sorry, but I'm already gone. Unfortunately, I don't vote with my wallet on something I'm really, really hyped about, like Starfield. I'm already pre-ordered, all that kind of stuff. And even though it's 30 FPS, I'll live with it. I'm not going to die. Would I prefer it in 60 FPS? Of course I would. Who wouldn't? Right. But it is what it is. Shane, what do you think, man? What do you think about this? Are you glad that they've officially cut the cord and, the older brother that's now moved into being a dad is getting cut off finally?
Yeah. Yeah, just like Grandpa told Grandma, just let it die. It's gone. I mean, it's old. It's been old for a while. I understand the reasoning that developers kept working on it. COVID and supply chain issues all over the place, and that's fully understandable. But yeah, it's time to lay it to rest. I mean, plain and simple. As far as the streaming of the current gen games on it, I have not tried it. I've still got an Xbox One, Scorpion Edition. I've still got the Xbox One S. I have all the consoles. So, but yeah, Pat, you're right. The Series S in concept. The concept was not fully thought out for it, unless they have an alternative agenda with it, which I think will end up being a streaming only console. They'll say, all right, guys, we can't make games just for this, so we're going to just stream to it. They're going to pull a switch. The Switch is starting to stream more and more games. They don't work, but they start to do that. So, I mean, whether or not they do it, I don't know. It's just my thinking on it. I think there's a good chance of it, because if they're trying to say you can stream new gen to Xbox One, that's probably what they're going to say about the Series S.
Welcome lawsuit is what I will say if that happens, because you can't do a bait and switch, sell me a gaming console and then say, well, it's actually a set top streaming box now. Sorry.
I mean, that's like saying that you own that game when you bought it digitally. So there's going to be some scumbag legality about it. I'm not saying it's happening or anything, but it's just a fear I have. But as far as the Xbox One, good riddance. It was a good system for what it was. I was happy to have it. I enjoyed playing it. Ran great, played great. When I got the One S, I loved it. It brought in the 4K video and stuff like that. Scorpio edition came out. We all went, gotta have it. We bought it. We loved it. We're happy with it. I think we all still have it somewhere. But let them die. You know, let them go that way. That'll go on my collector shelf to collect dust, and I'll start my own DK oldies, except for I won't bone people, and that's it. So, but that makes me happy, just because I know those that were able to get consoles originally had been suffering with games that could be better if they were built for the new system that they just bought, and now everybody will. So, if you still have your Xbox One, take it to GameStop, get your $185, and then go get you a Series X. Not an S, get a Series X. Because why shoot yourself in the nuts? But what do you think, Nick? I mean, you have a hell of an old game collection there. I mean, Xbox One is old now, so Xbox One exclusive games are going to be now collectibles.
Yeah, was there exclusive games on Xbox One?
Yeah, there was. There was one. The Xbox One game.
The Xbox One game? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel sorry for the people, like Pat said, that don't have an Xbox Series console yet, right? I mean, there might be, this is for the people that don't have one yet, right? And not for the people that aren't planning on getting one. If you're not planning on getting one, then who cares? If you're, because you're probably not playing Xbox, right? If you're not planning on getting one, you're probably playing PC or PlayStation or Switch or something else. You might have an Xbox One for certain games, but, if you were planning on moving up the generation, then you've probably already either planning or had already bought a series by now. But it's time, even for PlayStation, it's time to get rid of the PlayStation 4. Even though it's a great console, it's time for them to nix that and start, going down the PlayStation 5 route. It's time for Nintendo to bring out a new console, because theirs is starting. Well, it's not starting. It has become an old, timely, dinosaur at this point. People or aliens are going to come down and say, "What's that? It's old." Yes, it is. It's very old, and it can't keep up with modern games. So, that's why Shane was talking about, like bigger games for the Switch, like I think Resident Evil 8, that game is streaming only, right? You can play it on Switch, but you can only stream it. And they've done that with other games too. And I think that's what Shane was talking about with the Series S, is not necessarily every game being a streaming game, but doing something similar to what Switch does in the case where Switch can't run it, so they stream it instead. I don't think that's going to happen, because I think Pat's right. They shot themselves in the foot with that one. And so they kind of have to own up to it at this point. If they come out with a new Xbox, not a mid jump, but the new Xbox Series XY, then I think, hopefully, if Xbox or Microsoft comes out with a new console, brand new console, next gen, it's the next generation for everybody. Hopefully they just do either what PlayStation did with a CD-ROMless drive and a device and one with it, or they just make one device, right, and say this is it, the Xbox, whatever. Because even PlayStation, even regardless, the PlayStation has the discless version and the disc version. Like finding the discless version is almost impossible. It's not impossible, but it's almost, right. I mean, I still see people out there that have got and purchased new the discless version, but every time I've seen the PlayStation 5 in stores, it is always the disc model, always. But for Xbox, yeah, I mean, they shot themselves in the foot with that, but at least now they're getting rid of something that, now developers don't have to focus on Xbox One titles. They can focus on X and S titles, and we will get a little bit more of that true generational leap in newer games coming out. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that third parties won't, right? So those people that have Xbox Ones, third parties could still create games for the Xbox One, right? I'm sure they will. If not, they will eventually transition over, but you will still see games coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And, it happens all the time, right? I mean, we still see, sometimes not very often, we still see games come out for, like PS3 or something, or the GameCube or something, and that's usually like an indie group that has made something that they want to release on an old console. But I mean, even when we have those generational bumps like we have now, and the main party has stopped developing for them, such as Sony and Microsoft, we still see third parties support them for quite a while. I'm sure Ubisoft will still have Assassin's Creed, Mirage, Black Flag, Abstergo version 2 come out to the Xbox One and the PS4, right? Assassin's Creed Rainbow Six, the game, coming out there. So, there will be certain developers that will still make them. So you're not quite, those that do have an Xbox One, you're not quite completely in the dark, right? This doesn't mean necessarily the end, but it does for first party, right? Anything coming from Microsoft and Microsoft's first party groups, such as Bethesda, Obsidian, Arcane Austin. No, I'm just joking. That was a dig, but still, I mean, I'm sure the next game might be good. But like all these studios that they have, right, that they've bought up, anything coming from them, and they've got a lot of studios are all going to be now coming to just the Xbox Series versions. So, that's the only thing. If you're wanting to play one of those, but if you're wanting to play third party, I think you'll still be covered for a little while, probably for another year or so before they stop making those. You guys got anything else you want to say?
No, just it's about time, and but little brother Series S is going to hold back the Series X, unfortunately. I don't honestly see Microsoft swapping over to that being a streaming console anytime soon, because it's a very pricey one at that. When you consider things like Shield, NVIDIA Shield is still around, way cheaper than that, and it's a streaming device. And the Switch has been out for 6 years now, a little over 6 years. So, and if anybody thinks that it's going to run Resident Evil on it, you have no idea what the hardware of the console is, and you shouldn't. you don't understand, and that's what that means. But this is a current gen console from Microsoft, and you can't split now. You can't deviate, because now you have basically screwed over the people that spent $300+ on your Series S freaking low grade console, So Sony did it right. Microsoft made the mistake in the way they did theirs, I think. But that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, I have no disagreements with that. I mean, I love what Microsoft did with the Xbox Series X. I like the design of it. I mean, I was really happy with it. And then when they, said the S, it's like, that's weird. Doesn't quite make sense, especially considering, and correct me if I'm wrong, you two, because you're tech people, but the Series X, Jesus, I hate their frickin' namings. The Xbox One X, the Scorpio, whatever, so what the hell that was called. Isn't that actually more powerful than the One S? No, the Series S. Anyways, because it doesn't have more teraflops, and because the Series
it does, but
One X
it's the
like 6, right?
Yeah. I mean the Series Xbox One X does have more teraflops than the Series S, but the one thing is the CPU and even in this Xbox One X was the old what was it,
it was the Jaguar.
The Jaguar, right? Yeah. It wasn't even it was a Jaguar 2, or was it just the plain?
It was just Jaguar. It was a custom Jaguar.
So I mean, and that CPU at that time it was old as dirt anyway, right? I mean, it was time for an upgrade. I mean, because the Series S, even though it has less spec as far as that goes, it actually performs like quite a bit better than the Xbox One X did as far as that goes. I mean, so it doesn't need all the all the teraflops to outperform it.
You're running a Zen, I think it's the Zen 2 in the Series S. So it's a 3.6 or 3.3 gigahertz processor, whereas the other one's like a 2.3 or 2.4. So you're running a higher cycle CPU, newer CPU with newer technology, right? We're in the Zen 2s, custom Zen 2s, not the Jaguar. And I believe GDDR6 in the Series S and GDDR5 in the 1X. So I mean, it's really, you can't really compare those. I mean, the 1X was great today, but the Series X is a better machine than that. But you're still not getting what we are promising the Series X out of a Series S. It's just not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen, And a $300 streaming device is going to piss a lot of people off. So
Apple does it.
Yeah, but Apple rips everybody off,
That's true.
That's their motto. If you come in here, we take the apple and stick it where you know where, and you enjoy it. That's
Sir, would you like the Granny Smith?
Apple's all about quality.
Would you like the jumbo Granny Smith apple? How about we take the iMac? Would you like an iMac? Bend over. Get ready for it. But yeah, I mean, it is a more powerful console, the Series S, than the 1X, even though there's less teraflops. It runs at faster cycles. I believe it's like I probably should look these up, but it's a 1.2 versus a 1.5 hertz cycles difference. So in the GPU. So I mean, even though the 1X had 6 teraflops and the Series only has 4. It runs at higher cycles, and it's like an RDNA 2 GPU versus a Polaris. So,
gotcha. So it's a Porsche against a Ford Escort. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like here's the 2020 Escort, and here's the 2023 Escort. Which one do you want? The 2023 should have some better specs, So
I'll take the Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche. But you got to get the Series X for that then, or the PS5. No matter which PS5 you get, you're going to get the same car, right? You just get one with the 5-disc changer and one without
Porsche and white.
One with the 5-disc changer in the trunk.
One without. And one without, right? So, it's I think that's how you should compare it. The PS5 disc and discless. The PS5 disc is the one with the disc changer in the dash, and the discless is the one in the trunk. So you got to stop the car and change out your discs. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seemed like a good idea probably to Microsoft to come out with that console, but the longer it's in production and the more that I see it being, the more I see it powering things down, because now when you're talking about teraflops, you're talking about 4 versus 12, Series X 12 and the Series S 4, you are severely hindering your console at that point if you're making games and not splitting development, it's just... It was somebody is going to get their ass hung out to dry on this one, because you have really screwed up your development track, and you've really screwed up your third-party developers track, right? Because they're not going to split development and say, I'm going to make a Series S game and a Series X game. I'm going to make an Xbox game, and we're holding the X to the max specs the S can do. And that means that you have wasted teraflops here. You have wasted all this and that. You have wasted the potential of a console.
And it relates the same to the PlayStation in that case, right? For like third party, because they're going to develop all 3 editions, right? Xbox Series S, X, and PS5 held to the same standard, right? Across the board.
I believe it's probably separate developments because the architecture is not the same.
But I mean, you're not seeing like, I don't know.
You are seeing that though today, because you see games that come out on Xbox that are locked in 30 FPS, and a game that's coming out on PS5 is getting 60 FPS. You're seeing
And
that
you
today.
also see that,
But
in
they're
the
not.
reverse, though.
I'm just saying, like, it's not. But it's not the same. Not the same game, though. You're not seeing that. You're not seeing.
Yeah,
like,
it's the same game.
Which one? Give me an example of a game that
hold
was
on.
60.
I gotta
on
Google it because it was
PlayStation.
just
I've seen games that-
in the news. It was just in the gaming news where a PlayStation game came out in 60 FPS, but the Xbox was locked to 30.
Now I've seen that
PS5.
too. I've seen it in the reverse as well, where one outperforms the other, and back and forth. But I don't know if I've seen the actual locked FPS.
Yeah, it was. I've got to find this because there was a whole big old hoopla in the gaming
If
industry.
he says Spider-Man, I'm going to crap an egg roll.
Oh, whatever. That's not even going to come out.
Hoopla.
I'll have to find it, but there was plenty of games being announced that were coming for both. And one was faster. One had more. There it is. Dark Souls 3 was one of those. 60 FPS on PS5, locked to 30 FPS on Xbox. Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 3.
That wasn't a Series X game or a PS5 game. Those came out in the last gen.
The Dark Souls 3 is a 60 FPS on PS5, but locked to 30 FPS on Xbox Series X. So when they released them for next gen, Xbox only got the 30 FPS.
I didn't think they were. Did they like remaster?
Here, I'll put the article in
I
the
know
chat
they
if you
made a
guys wanna see it.
remaster.
They
one of
remastered the
original.
first one. Yeah.
This has Dark Souls 3 from The Gamer.
That seems odd. All right, everybody be patient. We're going to type crap and figure this out.
But this happens now today. I guarantee you, if you go to a side-by-side comparison, that's what happens.
I don't know about that because I think we would see more articles about that. I hardly ever see anything about that.
The reason
being
you
the
don't see
case.
anything about it is because it's just commonplace.
I don't think so.
No,
I mean, you
I
got
don't
places
agree
like
with
Digital
that.
Foundry that would definitely point that stuff out, and that's never
Yeah.
pointed out.
And they probably do.
No, I've watched it all the time. They never point that stuff out.
I don't think I've ever seen them call that.
I
Now,
don't
I've
think
seen,
that's the case.
I've seen where
now, if they're
Series
first party,
S
then yes, but
or
I
the
don't-
X compared to the PlayStation 5 compared, and one performs better than the other. One doesn't hit quite the frame rates. The frame rates dip more on one
Well,
console
yeah,
than the
yeah.
other.
I mean, that's
But I've
always
never seen one say, "All right, we're only doing 30 here and 60 here," unless it is the S compared.
Was it Plague
to
Tale?
the
Plague Tale was
X.
the one that came out as 30 on Xbox and 60. I thought that's what it said. No, that one was both. There was a game recently that was 30 on one and 60 on the other. And I'm trying to find it because there was a big news article about it.
Well, I have to look that
Well,
up.
wasn't that
sit here
big
and
because we
do
can't
that
find
here.
I'll
Were
find
you
all
having-
kinds of stuff, but I'm going to do it.
Were you having one of them lucid dreams?
I
Oh,
have them all the
Xbox
time.
run faster.
PS5's beating you, Xbox.
But a 30 FPS game on a 9th gen console is stupid. But Xbox has pigeonholed themselves because of the Series S. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
That's the truth of the
Yeah,
matter. And
I'm
if you
not-
don't believe
I
it, then
agree
you're
with
just
you
a
there.
fanboy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you there. Now, Todd Howard's explanation for Starfield running at 30 frames, he put a lot of technical jargon, but he also said it was vision stuff. You know what? That game, at least the
Everybody
the
always
trailer and
says
everything was like oh my
cinematic
God,
feel.
It looked really good, but I mean, when I got this TV and I could do 120 hertz and I could see the difference, or 120, I could see all those differences. I could feel it. When I saw Nick's new TV when he first got his, I mean, I almost had to clean his couch off. I mean, the difference is night and day, and when
Well,
you
like-
got a higher frame rate.
I believe Diablo is 60 hertz on both, right? Yeah, 60 hertz, 60 FPS on both.
Yes, it is.
I believe that
for
is.
sure.
So, so I am sorry, but I'm so sick and tired of the cinematic feel. Don't give me a chocolate bar when it's a piece of shit and tell me that it's fucking chocolate because I'm not that much of an idiot.
Dude, it was a
You don't
Mounds
have
bar,
enough time.
okay? I said
You don't have
sorry,
enough-
shit.
I am so sick of that argument. Cinematic is 24 FPS. That's cinematic.
I don't like that.
We got 30.
Yeah. I absolutely
I think it's
do
a
not
BS.
care about that.
Games should not be 30 locked in at 30 FPS.
Mm-mm.
Sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want a cinematic feel. If I want a cinematic feel, I'll go watch a damn movie. You know, I want my game to be 60 FPS. What?
At the cinema?
Yeah, at the cinema or on my TV. You know, but it's stupid, and it's about time we get rid of that 30 FPS locked in BS.
That's right. I want Fast and Furious to look like the nightly news. God damn it.
Or like I'm watching sports.
I mean, that was the whole point of the, that was the whole tagline for the Xbox Series consoles for the 9th gen consoles. That was the whole
4K. It's all over the box.
Every generation of console has some sort of tagline, right? HD graphics. This one can do 4K, right? And this time it was 60 frames, right? And some 120 frame games. But it was basically because that's kind of, we were semi-promised that and semi-delivered that with the Xbox One and PS4 versions of games, right? We had some games that were higher frame, but most weren't, but some weren't. And so we're like, okay, cool. The next gen is going to be all 60. But we're still getting the 30 frames. And I agree with you, Pat. I mean, like if you could do it on, you can do it regardless. If you can do it on the PC, right? Now, granted, there are, I looked at the minimum specs for PC, for Starfield, and they're not like super crazy. Not as I was expecting. So, I mean, the Xbox should be able to do 60 frames, but I think they probably can, but you're probably right in the fact that, and I don't know if Starfield's coming out to Xbox One. I don't think it is, right? But I'm not 100% sure on that. No? Okay. So, but yeah, it would more likely be hindered by the Series S, right? In that case. And that's why they're doing 30 frames. If I were to guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't make video games, so I don't know how all that works, but
no, I don't doubt it. I mean, it's a rubber crutch, and it was a mistake. So, but they'll probably do a mid-gen bump of the Series S. It'll be the Series SX, and it'll have 6 teraflops. It'll do 240 hertz and 48K.
48K.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they've locked themselves further into the Xbox Series S as well by having this 1 terabyte model that they're coming out with, right? This just reinforces that model even more by having a new version that's upgraded. Now, once they come out in the wild, people will open them up and see if anything else has changed on the inside. If they change like the motherboards or any of the boards inside or the design inside or anything like that. I suspect not. I suspect it's just going to be a bigger hard drive in it. I mean, they could make some design choice changes, such as, heat sinks and, thermal pipes and things of that nature in there. Right. But they could also cut the motherboard in a different shape if they want to, but it doesn't really matter. It's probably going to be the same exact thing, but with a bigger hard drive in there. But with coming out with a black version of it, like I said, they're just reinforcing that model, which, that sucks.
We're stuck with it, and we're stuck with a lower performance on the Xbox side because of it, right? I mean, you got to build to your weakest link, and that's the S. But it is what it is at this
point.
We know
what S stands for now.
And a mid-gen bump ain't going to save it because you can't, unless you're going to Gen 10, you can't stop producing games for the first 9th gen console. You can't do it. It's never when PlayStation comes out with their Pro model and Xbox came out with their One, they didn't stop making games for the lower end consoles. They just looked and felt a little better on the mid-gen bumps. So, because technically you're still in the same gen, you're just getting a mid-gen bump, right? Or did they consider I don't know this for sure. Did they consider the Xbox One X Gen 8 and the Xbox One Gen 7? I'm not sure that's how that worked. So. Right. It's like Gen 8 and 8.5 to 9.
That is a good point because, so I mean, if you just go off the basics, you have Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox One XS. So technically that would be the 4. So are they calling like the Slims and stuff part of the generations or the mid gens? How are they getting to 8 or 9?
I think it's all generation consoles.
Oh, so,
like we're in
right.
generation 9 of consoles, right?
Mhm.
So Nintendo was like the Jesus Christ birth date start of the console dates.
Yes, like first gen would be the Magnavox. So I just looked it up. The Magnavox Odyssey. And then like Gen 2 is going to be the Intellivision. Atari 2600 was Gen
3.
1. And then 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, so on and so forth.
Okay.
So they're calling 7th gen like Xbox 360, PS3, Wii. That's 7th gen.
Gotcha.
You know, so obviously it's still all that stuff was 8th gen, and now you're in 9th gen. Until we swap over to 10th gen, you can't abandon the 9th gen consoles. You can't abandon support for the 1X. Yeah, you can't abandon support. If you're going to come up with a mid-gen bump, you can't abandon the first gen. That's like saying PlayStation would be the worst then, right? Because PlayStation historically comes out with way more versions than Xbox does. You have, the Slim, the Piano, this and that and this, and the Dark and this and that. And it's like, and they always come out with a slightly different hardware configuration or better, newer hardware, right? And so, but they don't abandon the Gen 1 of that generation. So they don't abandon that. When they came out with the PS4 Pro, they didn't abandon the PS4. So,
well, it's all a waiting game. Yeah, we talked about the Xbox One for like 4 minutes, so hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, it all leads from one thing to the other. So we're just got to see what this broken leg of a Series S is going to do to generation. So,
yep, that's about it. But yeah, we talked about just to kind of recap everything. They're no longer making games for Xbox One. So there you go. First party. Anybody got anything else they want to add? And more? Okay. Let's go ahead and wrap this up then. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I mean, we went into, that I wasn't expecting this to go into the direction it did, but it did. So let us know down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you still have an Xbox One? And if so, we all have our Xbox One still, but we have the newer gen version. And if you don't have an Xbox Series X and S or S, why not? Why haven't you upgraded yet? Is it money? I mean, that's always a factor in everything. Or is there another reason? Let us know down in the comments below. I'd be, if it's another reason besides money, it'd be interesting to know why you haven't, upgraded. Maybe there's no games that you want to play on there, nothing you're interested in. Maybe you've decided to abandon Xbox altogether and just do PlayStation and PC and Switch. There's a lot of different factors out there. So let us know down in the comments below what you guys think. But other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Help us out. And hit the bell notification to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.